10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the rocket pool community. My name is Wack. Today is August 9th, and last night was one of those special nights in trading that people are going to be talking about for quite a long time, I think. So let me set the scene a little bit. Everything was horrible, and the RPL price was tanking really badly, and there was a whole lot of negativity around in trading, with lots of new people coming in talking about how nobody wants RPL and how everything's horrible basically. And there was a lot of discussions about rocket pool integrating with eigenlayer and some of the issues that might come up with that, etc. There was just a lot of negativity. So anyway, then El President turns up to trading and says, "In it to win it, boys." And he says, "I have 600 ETH, let's pump." And then Dibsy says, "Can I have some?" Invis says, "Can I have all?" El President says, "I will match RPL buys if transactions posted here." Right? So what he means is you buy RPL and he'll buy the same amount of RPL. So Jasper's the first to reply by saying, "Be right back." And Invis shares an old Etherscan transaction, but he meant you buy now basically. So the first person who did, he says, "I'll stake it all. Here's my node address. If you don't believe me, here's the address." So then he shares the Etherscan link, and then Jasper was the first person to respond by Rocket Luke says that he burned 15,000 RPL. So you can burn, replying to Invis, "I'll match burns if transactions are posted here." So I don't think he's gonna match that one, but yeah, that's still really sad. So Invis replies, "But I'm sorry, I only allow burns at or below 14,999 RPL." But Jasper here replies by sharing a link to Explorer, the CowSwap Explorer, and El President says, "Let's pump this thing." And Jasper says, "I'll give a PWAP to all buyers, people who buy," and he says, "I'll commission a PWAP." So he says, "You must post the transaction and El President must match." And then basically there's a PWAP involved. Then he replies with the Etherscan transaction matching Jasper's buy. So that's where the games begin, right? And Jasper says, "My man," and then I was like, "Oh, that's looking really good." So a little few minutes later, I also post a transaction. Where's my transaction? Let me see if I can find it. He says, "I'll match the RPL transactions posted here." So then I put my transaction in there. I bought some RPL as well. So then that gets matched as well. So now we're starting to see that El President is buying, and then I said to Shfryn, "Let's get a PWAP for this." And then President replies with to my buy with another buy. So it's looking really good. Let's move forward a little bit, and what happens is Lean Wolf over here sells some 2,000 RPL. Right now, what's going on over here? Well, Lean Wolf, it turns out, Rocket Luke does some digging, and he says that this guy borrowed from Aave and he shorted it. So basically what Lean Wolf did was they deposited some collateral into Aave, used that to borrow RPL, and then came to the market to short RPL. And people in trading didn't like that, especially when we had El President around matching buys and had 600 ETH worth to buy. And at that time it was just me and Jasper who had followed through with it. But I guess other people were kind of getting ready and into position for this. But I think this shorting really offended a lot of people, and Jasper says, how can you tell? He says, look at the transactions, go back in history. It comes from the Aave pool, basically. So the ratio over here was 0.0131. I think it went down to 0.0130. I think that's what the low was. And at that point, we had Looking for Owls, we had Rocket Luke, we had me, who said that this is the bottom, basically, and that like we're just going to go up from here. So he says a screenshot of the seller saying borrowed it 20 minutes ago and is shorting it by selling now. So they didn't know what was going on, of course, right? So let's move on a little bit. So people were starting to get involved with the buying. They were trying to hunt down the shorter. So Kane gets involved. Kane, of course, is a developer at Rocket Pool. He's one of the team members, and he posts the transaction with his buy. And then Jasper replies by saying the team are chads, and the team definitely are chads. And Maverick says, I really need to round up all my ETH dust. And I said, do it for the POAP. And then Bossy says, where's Joe at? He's at a junior dev conference or something. He needs to get in the mix. And then basically like that Aave shorter was kind of like being actively hunted now. Aave shorter should cover before it's too late, or we'll close this short for him. And then I said, what's the liquidation price? But we didn't really get that. And then Jasper made a thread for the POAP. So if you, I'll talk about that later. But and then Jasper said they covered it in part with the short. And Sneaky Ninja Guy says, Lean Wolf, WTF are you doing? And then Lean Wolf, more like Wrecked Wolf soon. So there was a whole lot of buys still coming in, and it was just like the sentiment was really, really like getting hyped and like really positive. So El President says, there's a 40-minute time limit now until he plays a game of FIFA. So that's how long he's going to keep doing it for. So people like Lee got involved, and then something really funny happened. Marko popped into Discord and said, the F are you nerds up to? So everyone kind of just went wild with that. And like it was just like everyone's like, what? And holy S. And people just like, yeah, we're just buying. Sneaky says the return of Marcy. Bossy says he's back. And I said, oh, what the F? And it's and then the Mike says, I'm here for the Marko POAP. War waves back. And Maurice says, if Marcy's back, I'm selling my kidneys for RPL. And I said, Shfryn, another POAP. so people just like really, really like excited and really, really positive and happy. And there was just like all these buys coming in, and here's like El President matching more buys, and really just having a great time. And legendary trading night in the making, I said. And I said, now we need Marcy to drop a transaction for a few hundred ETH and get the Prez to match it. And here's the POAP. So El President match Rocket Pool. So it's October the 8th. And it's a match party. So it was really, really positive. And here, look, there's Maurice here with another buy. And then there's just all of the buys are coming through. And then here I replied by saying, should Marcy drop a big RPL buy so Prez matches it? I said yes, effing yes and no. And trading was overwhelmingly in support of this, and people were still trying to hunt the shorter at this time. Let's move on forward a little bit. So then trading, of course, El President says who the F is Marko, and then Marko says the F you nerds up to, and it's just like the monkey fight basically, like meme with that. So and people saying, where's Thomas? We need to get Thomas involved in this. Grant, another team member, was also made a buy, and a whole bunch of people in the community made a buy. It actually made a difference. Lee shared the screenshot of like tokens in the last hour, and Rocket Pool was like the RPL token was the biggest gainer until like in that period. So that was really cool. And then I said like this was the bottom, like we just hit the bottom. And then Jasper got this information saying, I just logged into Aave with that dude's wallet with Imposter, and there's no short anymore. They closed the short. We literally chased the short. So yeah, it was really really cool that we hunted the short. And Kane then replied by saying, in case of investigation by any federal entity or similar, I do not have any involvement with this group or any people in it. I don't know how I'm here, probably added by a third party. I don't support any actions by the members of this group. So then, of course, you got to copy paste that in reply. It's just like the mood was just really positive and just really great. And they were still making some more buys were coming in. They were tagging the Prez, and then the Prez was responding by making the buys. And here's Grant as well. Another team member made another buy as well. Then of course I just covered that, and then this really cool thing happened where Marko made a buy of like 60 ETH, like $90,000, and that was the time to go. So and then Romano made another buy as well, and had the confirmations, and so then there was a Dookie here as well. So there were lots of people making the buys, and we'll talk about that in a second. But like Mambo-san, this is too hype. Shfryn said the POAP got approved, so that'll be going out. And yeah, it was just really, really exciting. We got the short covered their position and closed the short. And then El President, let me just skip forward a little bit, was here. And then El President came in and made a buy here for $95,000, and then someone sold. Of course they sold. Then El President actually ended up making another buy as well, just like a little bonus buy. But that this is where it finished. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. So this was El President's last buy, another $50,000 basically. Took the ratio to 0.01407. So it was a nice nice increase in the ratio basically in those few hours. And the price went up. I think it was a low of $24 on Binance, and it went up above $26. So there was nearly a good nearly a 10% increase in the price on in those couple of hours as well. So that was really exciting. And then something funny happened. The benefactor came in and said, El President, do you have any RPL you'd like me to distribute to the community on your behalf? but I don't think that was taken up. So that was really funny. And I think it's been a while since the benefactors distributed any RPL. So if any of you whales are watching, I think the benefactor is always happy to distribute some RPL to the community on your behalf. There's nothing like free RPL to lift the spirits in the community. So that's something to think about. And then there's the benefactor again. And then just as an aside, Trevor here made sheet tracking which wallets got the most RPL from the benefactor. So definitely check that out. I'm in the top 10, I think, with 31 RPL. Others have got more, like Hani got 45, First Man got 45, Hodger got 40, Sleety got 39, Fornax got 37, Jasper got 35. So there's some really nice amounts of RPL that people got from the benefactor. But if you want to spread some joy in the Rocket Pool community, just reach out to benefactor, and there's nothing like that works that well. Anyway, then it went to Twitter. So here we had Jasper saying, one of the strangest nights in the Rocket Pool community ever. I am further convinced of this community's power as a massive decentralized network. And Jasper says, layer 0 better than everything. And it truly is. There's no community like the Rocket Pool community. It's amazing. And then Marko as well has a tweet saying, the Rocket Pool community, divided on most topics, decided to unite to hunt a short out their position by market buying a shitload of RPL. They're fucking savages. And then Mark Zeller says, why did nobody tell me? That's the kind of degen stuff I want to be a part of. And Marko says that it was a RPL short they were chasing, and I told Mark that if you buy RPL and post a transaction in trading for the next 21 hours, you'll get POAP. So let's actually go back and talk about the POAP. So you can see here there's a POAP for El President. So initially it started off as just people who were getting matched were going to get the POAP, but then El President finished so quickly, so anyone who bought RPL in 24 hours after El President started, then they'll get a POAP saying that they were involved. So here people are just kind of like making their comments. Some people are posting their transactions here as well, just to say that they did it. So it's just really cool that so many people did it here. Like it really it was wonderful for the spirit of the community, and a whole lot of people were buying RPL because of it. So that was really nice. But like, talking about the bottom being in, like a couple of people were like starting to say that like sentiment in trading these last few days has been absolutely horrible. And I don't really talk about price too much on this channel, but the price has been in a steep downward trend. Sentiment has been getting worse and worse every day. Every day there's like new people coming in saying that this is all a mistake. And like it's just been horrible. So something like this really moved the community up. So that was really, really great to see. Okay, moving on from El President. Yesterday we also had this from Marko here. It says Marko initiated a bond reduction for their mini pool. Now, for those of you who don't know, Marko is one of the biggest whales in the rocket pool community. Marko runs 1,500 nodes, probably more than that, I think. Maybe closer to, so not nodes, sorry, validators. Probably more than that, actually. I'm not 100% sure. So there was a screenshot, and I posted it in trading, and Lee says rocket fuel is going to be boring tomorrow. I said nothing all fun happened today. So basically Marko starts bond reduction. Like, we're node operator constrained right now. That means we need more people to bring validators online. Marko, Thomas, these big whales are prime candidates for conversion of their mini pool 16s to LEB 8s. And there's a second one, third one. So it looks like maybe he's starting on all like 1,000 of his. And Nick replied by saying, interesting, I didn't think it would begin this early. I tell Shfryn we need a third POAP now because Marko is going to kill the deposit pool. But he says he's already done 2 POAPs and he's not going to do a third. But he says he's all POAPed out. Anyway, so Nick said that he thought Marko would wait. And I said I thought he'd wait until the start of Nick's reward period. Patricio is going to miss out on a chunk of RPL rewards. So basically what happens is, depending on your collateral level, as you reduce your bond, then you have to wait for that second LEB 8 to come online before it gets counted as one of your validators, and your RPL is counted against that. So if you're a whale and if you have a whole lot of RPL, over I guess 75% effective, then you lose out on some rewards by doing that, because the smart node, the rocket pool, like oracles won't be able to see that you have enough ETH staking to match all the RPL. So if you're 150%, and if you do bond conversion at the time of snapshot, if you still don't have those LEBs online, then you will not get the rewards. You'll get half the rewards basically. So that's what I explained to Nick here. And Nick says, can he arb the premium by bond reducing? And I said, ain't going to be much of a premium left if he starts reducing. Also, we're over 18,000, so there's no arb yet. And Nick says it'll be gone quickly. So I said, we're 15,000 over, so he needs to do 60 conversions before he can start arbing. And then as he does more and more reductions, he'll eat through the arb bots, and then he'll just start eating through the deposit pool. So maybe a small percentage of his new validators would have any like arbable like ETH to eat basically. So I said, yeah, he really should wait until right after the snapshot for the next rewards period to see if they have a queue for the beacon chain is around 25 days or less, just in case, because this way they'll only get half the RPL rewards if they're at max collateral. So not maybe not so much if they're at a lot less than that. And Nick said, I didn't think of the ratio reduction, he's probably fine. And then Nick said that he'll reach out to Marko to let him know. And at that point, then Marko stopped bond reduction. So he went up to 5 and then he stopped. So I think that he basically, oh, look, Devconnect set up new mini pools. That's cool. Yeah, I think he'll probably wait until I want to say like, right after the next rewards period, and see what the beacon chain queue is like to start converting. And that's really cool. Okay, so Kane here shared a screenshot of something really cool that he's working on, and here we have the Rocket Pool price manager on Ethereum, and then Rocket Pool price oracle on Base. So it looks like the team are setting up the contracts and the oracle information for putting the information out on Coinbase's new layer 2 base, which is going to go live, I think, tomorrow or today, I'm not sure, very soon, any day now. That's going to go live and like open for everyone. But it looks like, rETH will be one of the tokens available for, like, rETH will be available there with a price oracle based on the ODAO's price feed. So this is really exciting. I don't know like when or if or when we'll get a Chainlink oracle on there, but I'm really hoping that this this picks up. I think it's going to be really, really exciting to see how that goes. Okay, next we had another update here from Wonder, who works with Nodeset, for those of you who don't know. So Wonder, they're working on like a layer 2 for Rocket Pool. So right now, if you want to stake with Rocket Pool, you need to bring some ETH and you need to bring some RPL together and set up your node. Well, what Wonder, Nick and their team are working on is a way for people to give Nodeset their ETH or their RPL, and then Nodeset in the background will like put those together and give it to existing Rocket Pool node operators to add onto their existing node, and then the Rocket Pool node operators will get a small chunk of the commission, and then the rest will go to people who deposited into Nodeset. So it's a really, really nice system. I think it's going to be huge for Rocket Pool because there's a whole lot of people out there who have a lot of excess RPL that they can't do anything with, really. Like, there's limited DeFi options, and there's a whole lot of people who want to stake their ETH with Rocket Pool but don't have the RPL, or they don't want exposure to RPL to do it. So this will be a really, really great tool for that. So here Wanda says, we're meeting with the Rocket Pool team this week to determine our launch schedule. Depends on what they can commit to with regards to Houston. So I guess they're trying to figure out what's going to happen with next Ethereum updates, and then how that's going to impact Rocket Pool updates that are coming, and what will be in there, and then that will give them an idea of when Nodeset will be launching. I think in the best case scenario, it might be before the end of this year or very early next year. I've seen people talking about like Ethereum upgrades happening in November or maybe very early December or January. So I guess, Rocket Pool, the protocol, like the team will kind of sync their updates alongside that, and then Nodeset will be building upon that as well. So that's really, really cool to see. Okay, so here we have a few weeks ago we talked about, over a month ago now, we talked about this proposal Jasper had for the ODAO's inflation and how that should get reassigned. Jasper said basically that the ODAO's inflation should be going to the IMC, who can then use that to incentivize rETH across different layer 2s, and also provide incentives for RPL liquidity and doing RPL liquidity as well. So like kind of growing the scope of the IMC's charter and funding. So that, we gave some coverage to this discussion a few weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, and the conversation kind of fizzled out at the beginning of July. There was some ideas of what the numbers should be. Jasper was kind of like trying to figure out where some replies about how that was all going to look, and then Wanda said that having RPL liquidity is really good. It's really important to have that, and so basically what that led us to is this sentiment check or temperature check that Jasper put in the governance, and here he said, how much inflation should the IMC receive from the diverted ODAO funds? 100%, 75%, 50%, 25%, or 0%, and it looks like 100% and 75% are like the overwhelming favorites here, with like 85% of the vote, and then 50% and 25% and 0% have Oh yeah, actually you can choose multiple options, so the numbers don't add up to 100. So that's yeah, you can choose 2 options. So if you, yeah, that's right, there you go. So you numbers don't add up to 100 there. And the next one is, how much should the IMC spend maximally on the RPL incentives, currently capped at 10%. I'm just going to change my vote to 50%. Right, there you go. And so that will be capped at that point. So here as well, like you can see, there's 23 votes, and 86% of people said that it should be increased from the current 10% up to 33 or 50% maximally. So it doesn't have to use it all, but they'll have the option. Wanda says, why not an option for up to 100% RPL incentives? Is there a reason that IMC should be constrained in this regard? Simply because they may spend more doesn't mean they have to. Of course, they want to keep some for rETH. Carl says, in my opinion, the second poll is only lightly held, but I do feel more strongly that 100% of the PDAO's ODAO's inflation, previous ODAO's inflation, should go to the IMC. The PDAO has significant reserves, as it and the GMC isn't currently spending its allocation, so the IMC makes sense to me as the recipient of the reallocated ODAO funds that can always be changed in the future if and when the GMC, or I guess the reserves, are using a higher percentage of their allocations. Noshua says, I as an IMC member, I would like guidance from the PDAO on how to allocate between rETH and RPL. Wanda says, this seems like something that should be changed based on market conditions, not artificial limitations imposed by infrequent formal governance. Noshua says, guidance on how the allocation should change based on market governance conditions works for me. Doesn't have to be in the form of strict value. And then Val interestingly says, I voted 75% and 10% respectively. I'd like us to actually use our 10% before increasing it. If I was told no more votes for at least 6 months, I'd probably choose 33% on the latter. So it's interesting that Val says this. Of course, he's on the IMC, and like at the moment, I guess the IMC is not using the amount that they have set aside for RPL the way that they should, but that might just be because it's such a small amount. It might not be worth like setting up deep liquidity on exchanges or anything like that, like a new Uniswap position, for example. Here, Epinef says, not my area, but we have no other way to use these funds at the time. At a time when our protocol desperately needs to grow. I still think the default should be reserves, but I voted to have 100% to the IMC, 33% RPL. I would prefer a 6 or 12 month limit where we had to be re-ratified rather than having these funds default to the IMC in perpetuity. I'd certainly welcome some experimentation with protocol owned liquidity within these numbers. Jasper says, for what it's worth, I've been holding back on suggesting RPL ETH plan to the IMC in anticipation of this budget increase and seeing the sentiment on cutting back RPL spend. So that's in response to Waldorf's comments about not using the RPL incentives that they have. And Jasper says, I think a full range RPL rETH on Balancer as a core pool would be good. And I like that. I think that's good. Vaka here has an interesting point that not anyone has mentioned so far. So as we talked about Rocket Fuel before, the money that's coming into the PDAO now will also be funding the Rocket Pool team because they're spinning down 3 of their ODAO nodes. Vaka says, I'm against 100% going to the IMC, as that would mean none of the ODAO inflation would be directed towards developer funding. I'd like to see the team answer to this before going ahead with this vote, but meanwhile I voted for 50% and 75%. And then I was saying, I think the assumption is that this amount would be after the amount for the team is deducted, but of course nobody made a comment about that, so that will be interesting to see. But I really like this this proposal. I really like this idea. Having deep liquidity is absolutely crucial for protocols. I really think that we might not have seen some of the price dumps that we have if we had better liquidity. It's just what happens is like people see that there's thin liquidity, so people get scared and they try to dump before they think, we'll get into the really low liquidity areas, and then that kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because they're causing it to go to low liquidity areas. So having deep liquidity would give people some confidence that the RPL market could kind of like handle those movements and those positions. Okay, and then here there was some discussion in trading about the sentiment check, and people like Ramana said this would be so great, and yeah, there was other comments as well. So definitely go and check that out discussion if you are interested in that. Okay, going back to the forum and giving you another update on something that we covered a little while ago. There was a position for the Grants and Management Committee's administrator that was open, and this was edited by Shfryn. It was because of the redoing of the RPIP 26 vote. Actually, I'll check on that in a second as well, see how that's doing. But this has been relisted now as a way to kind of like front run that vote passing, so we don't waste much time and the administrator can start before the new grants window opens on September 1st. So here we have this update from Shfryn saying that people are invited to post their applications from August 8th until August 22nd, and then the GMC will take 1 week to decide of how to go forward with this. And then pros, yeah, there was some comments here about that, and then this is where it was updated. It said the 14-day application window is now reopened to apply. Interested candidates are invited to respond to this with this topic with their applications. And then pro says, curious how the redoing of RPIP 26 for vote affects this process, and the vote is already underway, so that's great. So here we got an application from Feeling Good, Feeling Great, who's Kent, and Kent basically explains why he would be good for this position. We also had PK3268 explaining why they would be good for this position. We also had Space Cadet just now, who also would like to apply for the position of the GMC administrator role. So there's a whole lot of people who are applying for this job. I think we're going to get even more applications coming in before the deadline passes, so it's 14 days. I'll keep an eye on this and share it with you all. It's a very difficult job. Like I'll be honest, there's a lot of work involved. It's not going to be an easy job. There's a whole lot of moving parts and pieces that this person will have to juggle. So yeah, my best wishes go out to the person that we hire for it. Talking about GMC here, there was some discussion about a specific vote that came up. Not sure. He says, does the GMC have any more thoughts on the rocket split application and whether than what we discussed with Joe above? And I said I made my thoughts clear, that I was hugely supportive of this grant application, but I couldn't vote because of the restrictions that were in place on me because I was applying for my own grant. And then people and I said, if there's a challenge, then I'll use my PDAO vote to vote in favor of this. Oh wait, actually talking about the PDAO vote, let's have a look at the vote and see where it stands here. So the grants management, this is the redoing. Oh yeah, it's just about to reach quorum, 99% in favor, but we haven't reached quorum yet. We need 500 more votes, so please go and vote. Val here voted saying LFG. LFG. So I think just actually Joe voting here. Joe, if you're watching, get voting. If Joe votes here, then that will take us above quorum, so that's looking quite healthy. Okay, let's go back to this. Rude said, appreciate you calling my attention to this. We're still ready to bring the product to life. Once I saw the feedback, the Rocket Pool team was working on something similar. I put the project to the side, but it seems like it's worth having a look at. That's what Ramana here says. Yeah, it's worth having a look at the thread. They're suggesting to do an appeal, and I added to that or reapply in September. So basically the path, there's two paths now. If you apply for the GMC and you get turned down, or you're not happy with the amount that they give you, or even as a community member, if you're not happy that a certain grant has been funded that you were hoping wouldn't be funded for whatever reason, then I guess for the third thing, that's only one recourse there. But what you can do is you can either appeal the decision by putting it to a community vote, or you can just reapply in the next round. And of course, from September with the rolling rewards, that'll be a lot easier because it'll happen on a month-to-month basis. But this was kind of like a discussion about how that might work. So Rude said, what's the preferred route? I said, for me, I would say reapply, but then it comes down to the decision of the GMC again. If you want to bring it to the community, then challenge. I said, let's just say I wasn't able to comment on your grant during the last cycle, and I'll try to explain try my best to explain to the GMC why this is an amazing tool in the next cycle if they reapply. So Root says reapplying makes sense. Creating a formal challenge during this time when we transition to a new GMC admin seems unwise. We'll pick up where we left off regardless. And I said, I think that's the best approach. Here, Shfryn says, for what it's worth, I always saw the challenge as a process, and Shfryn is the current GMC admin in the interim process, in interim manner. He says, I always saw the challenge process being extremely difficult for the applicant given the narrow window they have and the amount of governance experience it would take. With both the award system, with the new award system, in my opinion, challenges only make sense if the GMC continually rejects you and the rest of the PDAO strongly disagrees with them. And Noshua said, is that your preference, Ramana? Because there was a joint grant from both of them. And Ramana says, I slightly prefer challenging just because I want to see the challenge exercised, but I don't prefer it enough to actually do the work. So reapply seems fine too. Given what Shfryn said though, it might be fine to wait for the new system, and exercising the old system wouldn't be that informative. And Noshua says, people could also challenge something getting funded or reward amount, like I said earlier. And then Valdov says, I see it as is the PDAO riled up enough? Like, is the community riled up enough? If so, there will be the governance experience to back it, as in people like Val would come and help that person and make them, make the challenge happen in that time. He said, I'll be helping the PDAO as needed if I saw spill it out of here and take over trading, for example. And then he quotes Ramana saying, I don't prefer it to actually do the work, by saying lol. And Noshua makes a good point. He says, I see this was the second application. The first application got rejected with a comment to incorporate feedback from the GMC. As far as I can tell, this feedback was incorporated and then got rejected a second time after a conversation with Joe. It appears that the rejection was based on a misunderstanding of the proposal. I really like the proposal itself, so in my mind, there is enough to warrant a challenge. On the other hand, I haven't seen many other people comment on it, so it might be in the minority here. And I'm also worried about how the GMC would perceive a challenge. So speaking as a GMC member, which I'm not sure I should be doing, for me, if a project come and challenges, I'd be kind of a tiny bit frustrated. I'd be like, this is why we did it, but I think I would actually respect it in a sense. I was in this position in January, February, when the GMC gave me a reward that I wasn't happy with, and I was considering challenging, but I decided against it because things changed elsewhere that meant that it just made sense to not challenge at that time. But I can totally see why a person should challenge, and I think that my initial annoyance or unhappiness with that would quickly be replaced by this idea of this is the person's prerogative to do this, it's their right to do this, and it makes total sense if they want to do it. So I wouldn't think of it as a negative in the long run, just that emotional reaction in the beginning, but then that the logical response would be that this makes perfect sense, and I would actually vote on that, right? As a PDAO voter, I would vote on whether or not how I'd want that challenge to happen. And then Jasper says, I agree the challenge seems appropriate and would pass, but that the hassle of doing it is the main impediment. I think we should challenge and revisit the challenge system to make it less onerous if we seem to be in agreement that this shouldn't have passed yet, but want to wait for a reapplication. So there's a whole lot of discussion here that I think is really interesting about how the GMC works, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on the GMC. The GMC funds dozens of grants every period. That might go slightly down, but we fund all sorts of stuff. So I think this is going to be a really useful tool for the community. So the more community members understand what it is that the GMC does and how it does it, I think will be really useful for people going forward, because they can apply for their own grants. Okay, moving on, we had this, the premium came back yesterday, right? And one of the reasons for that was because of this huge market buy that 7 siblings punted 6,000 ETH into rETH. On the way, there was a little bit of a sandwiching from Jared from Subway. And funnily enough, some of that came back to actually the smoothing pool as 8 ETH. So here, Alto explains that a Giga Whale bought 6,000 rETH in a single transaction and got sandwiched, attacked by Jared, who along with other MAV bots paid a bribe to the validator, which went back to Rocket Pool. So he says rETH is a flat circle. But that was one of the reasons, that huge buy was one of the reasons why, we got a premium, and that premium is still holding, and it will keep holding until we are able to arbit or pretty much like get big whales converting. Okay, some DeFi news here now. So here Jasper says this tweet from Gamma Strategies about the huge yield on rETH that you can have in their position. So Gamma have a pool on Uniswap that's actively managed, and it's a rETH wrapped ETH pool, and they have been getting huge fees recently because some of these trades that have been coming in, and it looks like they're getting 40% at the moment, which is 48%. So the rewards are 8.5% because it's an incentivized pool, and then the fees they're getting are 40% annual, which is just absolutely amazing. So if you are curious, then you can check that out. Here Marius says there's nothing sustainable about this, and Jasper says, to clarify, I don't expect the 40% to remain, but I do expect more of the yield come from fees than incentives. This has been the trajectory of the pool's history, and one of the reasons why this might be a little bit more sustainable is because the deposit pool is full. So if people want rETH, they can't just go to the deposit pool and mint rETH. What they'll have to do is go to Uniswap or other services like that and swap their ETH for rETH, which of course would drive fees for those transactions, which is part of the reason where that amount is coming from. And of course that 6,000 ETH transaction I just mentioned really added some volume to this pool. Okay, next we have an update from Maverick here. Well, Raft are incentivizing an R, which is their USD stablecoin, with rETH, and they're showing a 2,082% APR. And when you kind of dig down into the numbers, what they're saying is that they'll be incentivizing that pool with 10 RPL every day, and with the RPL, then because the pool is so small, they the reward percentages are really huge at the moment. So if you have a look on the map pool, there's actually been more rETH and R coming into that, and right now it's still within their main liquidity walls that they want, but the percentages come down to 566% APR instead of 2,000. But those incentives are $260 a day right now. So if you want to throw some rETH and R into this boosted position, you should go ahead and do that. But of course, as always, when you interact with any of these DeFi protocols, understand that you could get rugged, you could lose everything, there could be a hack, exploit, all that kind of stuff. So please do your own research first. Next, I want to cover this new video interview that came out that Sunshine did with Shfryn. And here it says, Rocket Pool Node Operator interview series, spotlight and Shfryn with Girl Proton. Learn how it can be easier than you may think to become a Rocket Pool node operator from home in this interview. So this was a really nice interview with Shfryn, where he kind of talked about his staking journey and how it was easy to become a Rocket Pool node operator. So that was really nice to see, and it was great that they Sunshine and Kane are doing this series to get the word out about becoming a Rocket Pool node operator. Okay, and finally, there's tickets to the cowork section of Devconnect in Istanbul available, so you can apply for these now. Devconnect is the Ethereum conference that will be taking place in Istanbul. The dates of it are November something, beginning of November, first half of November. So if you are interested in going to Devconnect, and if you want to really dig in deep there, then you can apply for these tickets. And I think the main conference tickets, I'm not sure exactly how it works because I've not been to DevNet before. So this is the co-work part, but I don't know about the conference itself. But yeah, it's November 13th to 19th. It says for €10 you'll gain access to the official DevNet cowork for the entire DevNet week from November 13th to 19th. The cowork will be in the Istanbul Congress Center, ICC. So yeah, I guess it's just a separate section of Devconnect, but I'm not sure how to get access to the conference itself. So definitely look into that if you are interested in going. On that note, this has been a really long episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.